Hello and welcome to Right from the Kickoff with your host for this week, Joe Wright, and joining me as always, football fanatic and my football partner in crime, William Bayliss. How you doing, Will?
I'm good as always, Joe. How is yourself?
Yeah, it's a bit weird doing a Friday episode, isn't it? But of course, we've both been a bit busy this week, so let's get started and lots of football action to talk about this week. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to start off with talking about some VAR decisions, and that takes us, of course, to West Brom Southampton. Now, just talking about the game itself first, because I think West Brom deserved this. Absolutely brilliant from them, wasn't it? And they've had two stonker results, obviously against Chelsea 5-2 and beating Southampton 3-0. What did you make of the game first of all, Will?
Well, West Brom were just on it now. They're going for the great escape, aren't they? 3-0 in the end, and I think it was the fair scoreline, really. I mean, they were just on top of it, and they've got Leicester coming up as well. So I reckon they fancy themselves for that game as well. So they're
Yeah,
really top form, really impressed with them.
yeah, I do as well. I think to be honest, you if you're a West Brom fan, you're obviously delighted with the last two results, but you're kind of sitting there. Why couldn't we start playing like this? Because they're almost transformed as a team, haven't they?
Yeah,
They're really playing some good stuff. Pereira's just got going, got firing. Obviously scored a penalty. Um, and I think West Brom are just the build up for the goals are great, aren't they?
unbelievable. Yeah.
We're not talking about just little scrappy tap-ins or corners as you'd expect for Sam Allardyce to score. The actual build-up play is quite something. And I think anybody, forget Leicester, I think anybody who's playing them for the next 7 games is going to be worried. I really do. And I think it's made Fulham worry, made Newcastle worry, made all the other teams, Burnley, Brighton, because West Brom are now alive and kicking, and they have got something to fight for now. I'm not saying I still expect them to go down. Like I said that last week, I think they've still got a lot to do. But if they continue playing on this form, I'm more than happy for them to stay up. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure we'll see some great football.
Yeah, and let's just put this into context as well. We said weeks ago, doom and gloom. They're only 2 points off Fulham now, and Fulham have us and West Brom have a game in hand. So if they win that, they'll go ahead of them with
Yeah.
with 5 points. And 5 points is not much in the Premier League. Anything can happen, can't it? There's
No, and
still about 7 or 8 games left, aren't there?
especially when you've accumulated 6 points against two good sides. Let's not forget, Southampton were top of the league at some point in the season, earlier in the season. Obviously, Chelsea are facing Champions League, potentially getting into the Champions League. So these aren't poor sides, are they? They're beaten and comfortably as well. So we'll just see what happens. I'm really not confident as a Leicester fan for our next game for sure, because I think West Brom will turn up to that one because they've got to. Backs against the walls, they need to win games. Um, so yeah, going on to the contentious decision then about VAR. Um, well, the first goal was not given for it was given for offside, and it was basically just determined that they couldn't really decide whether it was on or offside, and it just more confusion, wasn't it? Will more confusion.
Yeah, and the player who was supposedly offside wasn't even in the build-up play or to do with the game. I don't even think they were even interfering in it, were they? So
No,
West Brom, I know it doesn't make a difference to the context of the match in the end, but
no, but
but
then,
one goal difference could make a difference at the end of the season, couldn't
but
it?
but the thing is, Will, right? The officials effectively have got unlucky that West Brom have gone on and not let that decision affect them, not let it derail their play, and they've gone on to just
Exactly, yeah.
smash Southampton. If that goal would have cost them the win, you're talking about it and you're going, well, that could be their season done. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
we're talking about it. Obviously, Sam Allardyce has got them playing a certain way and's got them playing some really good football. But we're talking these decisions can come down to the fine margins, and we're talking costing managers' job, costing players' contracts. We're at this point of the season now, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, if West Brom do go down to the Championship, they're going to have an overhaul again, aren't they? Because you just do when you go down, because players leave. All the Premier League clubs come in for those players that are perhaps your best. Do you see what I mean? So there's a lot riding on it.
Yeah,
So
100%. And going
go on.
back to the decision, the only thing I would say is that because the linesman actually said it was offside, so you needed enough evidence to suggest it wasn't offside. So I think that's why if they hadn't have said it was offside originally, they would have left with an on-field decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's it is what it is, but it's for me. Again, I was listening to some of the pundits. I've listened to a lot of the fans, on various different podcasts that I listen to, and they all say, VAR needs to get rid of, go back to the on-field officiating that we had before. But people are forgetting VAR is being used by those officials. So I think if you get rid of VAR now, all you're going to be doing is forget about it improving. All you're going to be doing is we're going to be back to where we were, where there are going to be people calling for video technology again in another 5 years' time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
So I think we need to stick with it now. I'm not saying I'm a fan of it. I've said to you numerous times before, and even on this show, I think that I want to see it abolished. But I think if you look at it in the future, I think it's just going to cause more problems if you get rid of it now. Do you see what I mean? I think we have to stick with it and try and increase some of the officials kind of the way they use it, because at the moment that's what it comes down to. It's the officiating of the technology. It's not the other way around.
Joe, I've got a question for you.
Go on.
Before VAR was in place, managers and players were slating it every week, saying, "Oh, if it was VAR, that would have been given." Do you think there's more mistakes now or more mistakes back then before VAR?
I think, like I've just said, Will. I think when people were talking about VAR being introduced, they were talking about the technology sorting those problems out. Do you know what I mean? They almost forgot that it would be officiated by. So it's still that human error. Do you know what I mean? There's still the human error element into it, even if you have 2 or 3 blokes in Stockley Park, making the decision. They're still going to make those errors. And to be honest, because they've got VAR now and because they've got the replays, it's just being more highlighted how poor they are. Realistically, that's where we're at. So I think everybody was calling for it. I think if they knew what it was, I don't think they would be, to be honest. I don't think they would be. I think they'd be keeping their mouth shut. Excuse my French, but do you know what I mean? I think they would be keeping their mouths closed on it, because I think it is worse than it was when it first came in, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you now.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So great win for West Brom, 3-0. There was. I want to move on now to Man U Tottenham. Big game at the weekend. We'll talk about the football, and then we'll talk about the contentious decision again involving VAR. I know me and you actually have come to loggerheads on this one. We disagree with this one. But, good win for Man U. Needed it. Tottenham's Champions League's hope over now, because they've had a couple of poor results again. They're just not playing great football at the moment, all the Spurs.
Yeah, you're going to have to over there. 6 points adrift now, and West Ham are in good form, Chelsea are in good form, Liverpool are in good form, but you just can't see it working for Tottenham anymore. They'll be very lucky to finish in 7th at this rate, to be fair, because
it's very close, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very close. And you look at the teams, behind them. Villa, Leeds. Leeds got a cracking result, which obviously we'll go on to later. But they're playing some good football, which they have done all season, really. So you're looking behind if you're a Tottenham fan, not in front. If I'm going to be honest, aren't you?
Yeah.
100%. But like I said, I just want to touch on a player, actually, Edison Cavani. How do you think he's done his time at Man U? And there's talk of him leaving for Uruguay, obviously going back home and stuff. But how do you think he's done for United? And are Ollie and the board going to want to keep him on for United? Because he obviously scored again at the weekend, got the winning goal, and he's bailed them out a couple of times this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, and one thing you would say about Cavani is that he's a top professional, isn't he? You said that when he first came, he was training, doing extra hours. He's in his late 30s, isn't he now? So he's no spring chicken. And to show that much dedication, it's just fair play to him. You can tell like he cares. You can
Yeah,
see
but
it in his face that he cares.
yeah, I think to be honest with you, mate, though, that's where you get your difference between your professionals and your top athletes and top class professionals, don't you? You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
I'm not taking nothing away from professional footballers. I think they all work hard in their own right, but you get that extra level, don't you? I think back to the stories I hear about sort of Steven Gerrard, you know, Frank Lampard. They always want, you know, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane. They always want a bit extra out of their teammates. They're always training hard. Do you know what I mean? And I think actually Cavani in his own right is that kind of player, you know, puts his effort into his own play and wants more out of his players. You know, think about Bruno Fernandes. In fact, he's probably one of those players that you see on the pitch as well that are like that. So you get those players, don't you, that are just a cut above in terms of the work rate they give, not just on match days, but obviously all week round, and that's what you need. Um, I think they'll want to keep him. It's reported that he wants to go back, so it's really his decision, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, I think he's at the stage in his career where he just have that freedom. Like he's not under any obligation. He can literally do whatever he thinks is right for him. And if
Yeah,
that's going home, that's going home. So
exactly. But it would actually be good to see him for another season in the Premier League. Not gonna lie, because he is a top professional and he's a good player to watch as well. You look at his movement in the box, even for like you say, he's no spring chicken. But no, it was good. Now we're going to go on to the contentious, obviously, decision. I mean, for you, you say it's not that contentious, but
no, it's not.
obviously there was a goal disallowed in the early part of the game. Obviously, I think it was 0-0, and then obviously Tottenham went to score because they did take the lead in the game through Sung, didn't they? But this was just before. I think it was McTominay. Obviously, he's got Song on his back, flicks his arm out, and it catches Song in the face. Song goes down like he's been shot by a rifle, as they all do nowadays. Let's be honest. And the goal's gone and scored, and then it's put out for it's not given because of the foul. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree or agree with this decision. I just think that the players, they don't help themselves, do they, with throwing themselves onto the floor? And yes, all right, it was contact, but it is a contact sport. And you said to me before do you want to say what you said to me before the podcast? Because we were getting into it just before, weren't we?
Yeah, we had to stop ourselves. Like we'll save this for the podcast, but
Yeah.
it's a foul. If he'd stayed up, they might not have given it because he's gone down, and it was a foul. You can't flick someone in the face like that. Like you say, it's a contact sport, but not the hand to face contact sport. It's not boxing, is it?
But the
It's
one
a
thing,
foul. It's a
yeah,
foul. I'm surprised he didn't get booked. To be fair, for it.
the one thing I will say for that, Will, is again it's gone to VAR. It showed it in slow motion. You know, I'm personally not convinced. I can see why the foul was given. I can see it. And at the time, I said, because I was watching it with someone, I said, you know, yeah, that's a foul. But the more and more I thought about it, it's like these guys are going down like sacks of potatoes, and yeah, I'm just it's going to be given 9 times out of 10. I'm not disagreeing with you on that one. I'm just not happy with the way the sport's going, to be honest. The fact that that's disallowed. You know, I would have liked to have seen it given, you know, to be honest. But you know, we obviously have difference of opinion.
And I think it's one of the least contentious issues of a weekend, in fact, because it's a foul. Like you just can't do that. Flick out with someone in
Yeah,
the
but
face. It doesn't matter where it is.
it's not like he was purposely doing it. I think the thing is, you know, he's not looking at him. Obviously, he knows where he is. I get that, but he's just kind of he's probably just going with a bit of a touch off and catches him in the face. Yeah, but like I say, the replays do show the worst side of it. And obviously, if we were to sit here and talk through the replays as we were seeing it, say if me and you're on TV now and watching it, it wouldn't exactly do me any favours because the VAR does make it look worse. I just don't know. I mean, in real time, is that, you know, the foul wasn't given, you
Well,
know.
that's because the referee didn't see it. If he saw it, he would have.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, again, I think I am fighting in the losing corner here. I will say that, but I'm just not convinced. I'm not, you know, I'm not 100% convinced it's the right decision. But we'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like obviously we talked a little bit about Tottenham. You know, you think that Man U are pretty much assured of that second spot now.
Yeah, they're comfortably there, aren't they? I think.
I mean, they're 7 points above Leicester in second now, so yeah, I think it's
they're
pretty
actually.
done, isn't it?
Yeah, they're pretty much closer to Man City. If they win their game in hand, they'll have 66 points, which is only 7 points away. So
Yeah, it's not
it's not impossible.
it's not cut and dry, is it? Especially, obviously, as we'll go on to now, where Man City losing against Leeds United. What did you make of the game? Right, now, it's important to say that this game was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? And there's a couple of incidents that were involved in the game, which makes it fantastic. Obviously, you know, so Leeds go 1-0 up. It gets to about the 40th minute, they go 1-0 up. Dallas scores a great goal. And then Cooper gets himself sent off. And I think everybody, all the neutral fans in the country thought, well, that's it. You know,
Yeah,
it was almost like
Man City going to bust it down.
Yeah. I mean, everybody would have thought the same thing. I mean, I think we were sending a couple of messages back and forth again, weren't we, Will? And yeah, it was Man City going to boss it now and stuff. And Man City did score very late on. I think it was the 84th minute. They scored. But Leeds doing what Leeds do, counter-attacking football, looking for the space. And Dallas scored another brilliant goal, ball played through. But we're talking top quality ball, aren't we? If you see the ball, It's just beautiful.
And
into the strike.
He's a defender as well. It's crazy how I was gutted because he was on my bench, so I had 17 points.
I saw that. I've got to be honest. I was thrilled. I was thrilled that he was on your bench because I think just for the listeners out there, not that this has got anything to do with this. We've got a league between. I think there's about 9 of us, isn't there? And me and Will are fighting it out for first and second. And Will, I think you're about 18 points behind me at the moment. At this stage in the season, very close, isn't it? But anyway, moving on. So that would have put you very much within a point of me. But yeah, Dallas had a great game, didn't he? Scoring 2 goals, and I couldn't really believe it when the goal went in at the end, really.
Yeah, it was just unbelievable, wasn't it? And fair play to Leeds. They never gave up. That's the one thing again about Leeds. They never give up, do they? It's almost like the Leeds mentality, isn't it? Fair play to them.
I mean, you look at a game they played against United, and yes, they lost 6-2. But I think they were 4-0 down at one stage at Old Trafford, and you think, well, that's it, game's over. And next thing I look, it's 4-2. But I mean, I know they lost the game, but that, like you say, it's that mentality of never giving up, and it helps them in a lot of games. It helps. You're never safe against Leeds, are you? That's the one thing I would say. You're never safe, even if you're 2-3-0 up. You're always like, well, they've got the opportunity to score. So.
Yeah, you're never gonna fight for it, don't you?
No. Do you think, obviously, Man City had one eye on the Champions League, which they successfully, got through to the semi-finals for the first time in the club's history since 2008. But it was a joke there because obviously they've come into some money. Their existence isn't just the 2008. Sorry, Man City fans. But no, I think Leeds, will Pep be disappointed with that result? Obviously he will be, but do you think it's because they had an eye on the Champions League?
No, I don't think it was, if I'm being honest. They did play a weakened squad though, so they obviously was prioritising it, and I think Man City felt comfortable enough, and they do have the players to, just because it's not their strongest 11, like 9 out of 10 times they would have beaten Leeds. Let's be real.
No, good. Yeah, but like I say, good result for Leeds, and they move on. And I think that just proves that they've got more and more strength in them, haven't they? Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Fair play to Leeds.
Right, moving on. I'm just gonna have a look at. Obviously, we're gonna have a look at the Friday night game now. Fulham versus Wolves. Now, this was a very bitty game, very pressurised game for Fulham. Obviously, they needed to get the result.
They had to win this game.
Yeah, they had to win this game. I think they would have gone at this point, because the first game of the weekend, they'd have gone above Newcastle, to get the to get the 3 points, and obviously goal difference, I think they're slightly better. But they lost 1-0. I can't believe we're saying this because, again, we praised Fulham for a lot of weeks, didn't we? I think about 3 weeks on the bounce, had some good results. And now they just seem to have gone back slightly. What do you think Scott Parker needs to do, more importantly, and what went wrong for them in this game?
I think it's really tough. I think they'll feel hard done by because they did have the better opportunities against Wolves in there than that Traore's first goal in about a year, wasn't it? And what a finish it was. You have to feel sorry for Scott Parker because you can tell they really wanted it, but I think it's just slipping away. I think week on week it's harder and harder for them now, and they've lost their momentum going forward. Like West Brom behind them have so much more momentum at this point, don't they? So
yeah, they do. And
if you had to back one team, it now be West Brom. It changes week on week, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I really can't believe that we're saying that West Brom have. I mean, it's right. I'm not saying you're wrong at all, but you think about sort of 3 weeks ago, that what we were saying in terms of, West Brom's chances. We wrote them off, and I mean, like I say, I still think it's going to be difficult for West Brom, but they've got a chance. And the thing is, they'll go into the games with the games they've won more confidence. And like you say, I think Fulham now are struggling with the fact that they are lacking the momentum. They've lost the last couple of games. Teams are figuring them out how to beat them as well. And I think when you're down at this point and you are struggling to get results, you tend to make a few mistakes because you tighten up. You tighten up, and I think that's kind of what comes down to Fulham missing those chances, tightening up and worrying about what every goal means. You've got to, as much as it sounds stupid, I think you've just got to go into every game as an individual match and just try and win it and think about the implications after the game, And
you almost have to calm mental, segregate it to try and get your mind in the mentality to try and relieve a bit of that pressure, don't you?
Yeah, no, of course you do. And yes, it's difficult. Me and you have never managed in the Premier League. I mean, we've never managed anywhere, but I think you've got to try and take the pressure off your players. And actually, Scott Parker, up to this point, has not done a bad job of that. But I just kind of felt like on the Friday night, it was getting to them a bit. It was getting to them a bit. And I can see Fulham now finishing second from bottom. Even though they've got you'd still want to be in Fulham's position because they have the points advantage. Yes, or West Brom are 2 points behind them with a game in hand, but they've still got the points on the board that West.
You'd rather have the points in a game in hand, wouldn't you? Really?
You would, but I don't fancy Fulham to keep that lead, especially with the fact that West Brom, like I say, have come alive. And I've got to be honest, I think West Brom have got a good opportunity to beat. Fulham, to beat Leicester in the next game. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think Fulham will be disappointed. Right, moving on to the next game. So we'll work in sort of chronological order from now. So obviously we talked about the Fulham game, the Man City game, Liverpool, Aston Villa is the next one chronologically. So what did you make of this one, Will?
Well, it was an interesting game as well. Again, another contentious VAR decision, wasn't it? Liverpool thought they went one up, but it got done for that offside VAR decision again. What did you think of that one, Joe?
I mean, I was actually watching this one with a Liverpool fan, because as you know, my girlfriend's dad's a massive Liverpool fan, and we were both watching it, and I was actually more raging than he was. I think it was just, I couldn't really believe what I was seeing, to be honest. It was, the thing is, we were chatting after the game, obviously, and the issue with the VAR is the striker's always going to be leaning forward because he's going forward that way. And the defender's always going to be leaning the other way. So if you go in on the leaning aspect, the advantage for the striker's now gone as they're out of the game. There's no advantage for the striker.
Yeah, but because before it was like, oh, you have to give the striker the benefit of the doubt, but now it's you have to draw the line somewhere, don't you?
You do, of course you do. But there's even points down to the camera angle that we're given. I'm like, that's not even a straight camera angle. Do you know what I mean? With the way they
It's so
take
hard to tell, isn't it?
yeah,
Like,
with the way they take where they take they freeze the image, and you're like, that's not even a straight line to where you need to be because you're not straight on the line. So
yeah.
you're sat there and you're going, well, if that's taken a few frames forward or to a few frames back, he's onside. So you know what I mean. So you kind of sat there going, you can't. You have got to draw the line somewhere. But I just thought it was ridiculous. It was onside for me personally. I just thought, come on, we're getting to a point, and there's been a fair few decisions like that, of course, because like you say, you have to draw the line somewhere. But you can also be wrong. You know, these are um, individual referees, kind of making these decisions. You can be wrong. And it's almost now like you're just waiting for the red or the green light with the line, aren't you? That's all you're
Yeah,
waiting for.
100%.
It's
Yeah.
not even looking for the offside anymore. You're just waiting for which line they draw. But yeah, it's frustrating. Glad to see Liverpool get back in this game, to be honest, because I think they deserved it. Villa did score through Ollie Watkins, but realistically, Liverpool did dominate this game. So
Yeah, that is true. But I think because I think Villa went in, they tried to go on a defensive. They didn't try to go for that second goal, and Liverpool are the comeback kings at the moment. So with Manchester United. So fair play to Trent to score that last minute winner, so to speak, as well. And
yeah,
Liverpool will be more confident towards the top four hopes as well, won't they?
do you think on Trent, because obviously he was left out of Gareth Southgate's England squad, do you think he's making a stake for himself again? Because he's had a good couple of games now.
You have to, but you have to have a look at the first leg against Real Madrid. Like, he was static. He wasn't great, was he? So
yeah, but
it's so hard with so much
second
competition at the moment. You can't
this
afford to make any mistakes.
yeah, no, you can't. But also, I would say that second leg against Madrid, he was arguably their best player.
Yeah,
So it's a difficult one. I mean, obviously, I know they drew that 0-0, but they could have won that 2 or 3-0 if you watched the game well. I don't know whether you did, but um, they could have quite easily come away with a win there. Very unlucky. Obviously, they had to go for it, but yeah. So 2-1 to Liverpool. Well deserved result. Next one, Crystal Palace versus Chelsea. I mean, this was over in the first half, wasn't it? Well, it was just.
yeah,
I mean, Chelsea just dominated. Crystal Palace just didn't look like they were bothered. Honestly, it was a very poor performance. I was actually very disappointed. Just from a neutral point of view, very disappointed with the fact they didn't give it a go. Now, I'm not
yeah,
saying I didn't. I'm not saying I didn't expect Chelsea to win the game, but I'd have expected more from Palace, and they just didn't offer it.
yeah. I think Chelsea. You could tell Chelsea wanted to mean business after losing to West Brom the week prior, didn't they? So they really wanted to go for it, and they took the chances superbly as well. And uh, a fair play to Havertz as well, because I know he's had his stick this season, but he scored his goal. He got an assist as well. So hopefully that'll give him a world of confidence, won't it?
Yeah, no, it will do. It will do, and you got to say, great result for Chelsea in the top four race for sure. Very very happy with that, and good performance from Mason Mount, like you say, Kai Havertz as well, great result. Yeah, so no, good result. A big one at the bottom now, especially with them going 1-0 down. Newcastle won 2-1. They're really picking up momentum now, aren't they? Obviously with the draw against Spurs and now this win. Yeah, and they've got some of their big hitters back, haven't they? And Maximin and Wilson, and you can just tell they're a different team with those two players in the side.
Yeah, they just add so much personality to the set as well. Like, you can tell they really mean it, and they just love what we're doing. Like Saint Maximin, his celebration was so funny. What a dance move! Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. He's character as well, isn't he?
And that's what Newcastle have been missing as well. That bit of character, that bit of spark. And I think
I
now that he's
think
back,
Yeah, I think like you just said though, I think obviously with the players coming back and obviously mentioning it, I think Newcastle have a great chance of staying up now because the players are back. The players have come back for them at the right time, I think, just in time to save them. To be fair,
yeah,
Wilson's actually had a really good season. Obviously, he's had an injury hit season, but actually for what he's been able to do and the goals he's scored for them, very important goals, they wouldn't be anywhere near relegation if he hadn't scored half the goals that he has.
But
So I think he scored something like 8 or 9 goals, hasn't he? Which
it's just been unbelievable.
For a club at the bottom is a lot of goals. And in important goals at important times. And obviously, Sam Maximin, he just opens up defences for them. He's very much their kind of go-to player in terms of running at defenders, and he's got end product, hasn't he? He can score a goal. He can cut inside and just panic defenders. Whereas when Newcastle don't have them inside, they don't have any of that. They don't have Wilson's movement. They don't have Maximin's kind of willing to run at defenders. They don't have any of that. So with those two players back in the side, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, completely. And now you can argue that Burnley are even deeper in the scrap now. Newcastle are just 1 point away from them, and I don't know. You could say Burnley were a bit unlucky, but they just didn't take their chances. They had 24 shots and they scored 1 goal, and that turnover is just not good enough when it comes to the Premier League at the moment, is it?
No, it's not at all, and they are back in it. I think they've got enough to be safe. To be honest, I think Newcastle. I think they are going to struggle. I think the one team that people have got to watch out for now, though, is West Brom. I do. I think if West Brom keep winning, say if they beat Leicester next Thursday, I think they're really back in it then, aren't they? Very much so. Still fighting and stuff. That'll be 9 points from 9 if they beat Leicester. Moving on to said Leicester City and West Ham. Okay, first of all, I'm going to get your view on this. What did you think of this game? And all credit to West Ham, played some brilliant stuff.
All credit. This was the game of the weekend. Like again, West Ham went 3-0 up like they have done in the last few games, and Jesse Lingard once again. I know we say it week and week, but his finish to curl it round. I think was it for the first goal.
Yeah,
was just on the half volley. That that technique is so hard to execute, and he just made it look easy. He's just on top form, and we say it week and week, but he has to be a shoo-in for the Euros now, surely, Joe.
Yeah, well, no, it's not even a shoo-in for the squad. Honestly, the way he's playing, he's a starter. It's got to be hard to argue that, hasn't it? With the form that he's showing, surely. I mean,
the only thing I would say in terms of that is that there's so much competition for that.
No, I know there is, but he's the one that's performing the best, mate. He scored 8 goals since arriving at West Ham. 8. He's now got more goals than Jack Grealish, more goals than quite a few attacking midfielders. He's got more goals than Maddison. He's got more goals than these guys. I think he's on the same amount of goals as Mason Mount. This is a guy who's not been playing for half a season because he was at United.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, isn't it?
When you look at those stats, and we're also not just talking about goals. We're talking about assists. I think he's also got 4 or 5 assists since joining West Ham. You can't ignore those stats. I know it's ridiculous to say that he's got to be a start. I thought it was ridiculous, but I don't think there's going to be many people arguing with that. Me saying, look, if you look at the stats and you look at the way he's playing, most importantly, he's got to be considered for a starter for sure. Surely.
Yeah, surely.
But yeah, he's playing some beautiful stuff and tore Leicester a new one in the first half. I think.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to West Ham, but in the end, Leicester could have nicked a draw, couldn't they? Like they scored in the 91st minute through Iheanacho, but they had a chance at the depth, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And I think what was very interesting was you could see when we scored the first goal, you could see the dynamic change. We had a couple of chances before the goal scored by Iheanacho. I think of it one that Ricardo was throwing, really should have pulled the trigger a lot sooner.
Yeah, he should have done.
And there was a few other bits and bobs. I think what made the difference for us is when Albrighton came on. He's a real engine for us on the pitch, and he gets the ball in and crosses and stuff. Iheanacho, though, still had a great performance. 2 goals to his name. Didn't amount to anything at the end. But he is the one shining light for Leicester. I think if we are going to get top 4, he's going to be the one that's going to drag us there, which is crazy to say considering that Vardy's in the team and not scoring.
Can you see Ian actually having a long-term future with Leicester now? Obviously, he just signed a new contract, hasn't he? So
Yeah, he has. He has. I think it's well deserved, and I think he's just showing that he's got the potential that we all knew he. I say we all knew he had, that some of us didn't know he had. I think I was one of those, to be fair. But did very disappointing result, big game of the season, and actually I want to just quickly touch upon the fact that Madison, Perez, and I think Chowdhury weren't involved in the squad because of some stupid breaking COVID rules and stuff. So, in terms of professionalism, it's just not on, is it really? You know, biggest game of your
no,
season, arguably biggest game of your season so far, and you break the rules and you can't be involved in that game. And I think if Leicester allowed Madison in the team, you know, it might have been a different result because he really is one of our key players.
yeah, but
But
it's all about professionals.
yeah,
It's
no,
quite
I'm not,
right how he wasn't in the squad.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with the decision. I'm just disappointed. Obviously, as a Leicester fan, I'm just disappointed with how they've acted. And if it's any other team right now, I'm slating them. So I'm going to do exactly the same for the Leicester boys and say, you know, it's just not on. It's just not on. It's not professional, and you've let the club down. To be honest, if any of you are listening to this, of course you probably won't be, but I'm just saying you're letting the club down, and you've let a lot of the Leicester fans down, a lot of them, and I was disgusted with the behaviour, to be honest. But moving on to a more kind of, so we've already talked about the Man U game. Sheffield United Arsenal. We both had 2-0 down for this one, didn't we? And I had 2-0. You actually had 3-0, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was 3-0 in the end. Not surprised really for the result. I mean, Sheffield United, they're going down with a whimper, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, they really are. Like, but you have to say fair play to Arsenal. Like, they really, like as that, he scored 2 goals in the Europa League last night as well. And he's
Yeah.
just coming into his own a bit more. I think he's really maturing. Again, he's a big player for Arsenal now, isn't he? And they have a bit of confidence moving forward. Obviously, being into the semi-final of the Europa League as well, they want to make sure they win that to get into the Champions League, won't they?
Two good results now for Arsenal. I personally don't see them winning the Europa League because I just think Man U will have too much for them if they do meet in the final, and they've not got an easy not got an easy tie in Villarreal. Obviously facing their former coach in Unai Emery, so we'll see what
Yeah.
happens there. But I think they have to win that, otherwise it's a very, very poor season for Arsenal. Very poor. Because I don't think they'll get Europa now either. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, they really need to win this one.
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. Just moving on then for the last result, because obviously we've talked about West Brom Southampton. Very poor game, 0-0. Brighton Everton. What did you make of it? It was quite a nothing game to watch, to be honest, and
Yeah.
that pretty much puts Everton's chances of Champions League, not Europa League, but Champions League out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just a bit of a damp squid. You can tell that Everton were really missing their key players. I think they've been really lucky, particularly in the CDM department. Like, all the players are injured, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think they've just been a little bit unlucky in terms of injuries, and that made them, because they were in such top form, and then it just stunted their momentum, and then they just can't get going again, can they?
They're playing like a mid-table side now, aren't they? Which is not what the kind of form you want to be in going into the kind of last 7 or 6 games into the season. So, you know, it is very disappointing. But you know, like I say, we'll just see what's what, and we'll kind of hopefully they can make a push. But I think even if they were to win most of their games now, they'd struggle because like I say, you look at the teams above them in Liverpool, you know, Chelsea. You know, even obviously Leicester not having the greatest couple of games, but you'd imagine Leicester to get at least 3 more results this season. So, you know, I think it's going to be difficult. But we'll see what happens. And yeah, anyway, moving on to the next section. I'm going to put this on you, Will. So obviously players of the week. We usually do this at the end, but I'm going to do this now. What do you think? Players of the week?
Well, you're going to have to go with 2 players again. It's that main man, Lingard, again. Because you can't argue with his 2 goals.
You can't not. You can't not.
I'm actually going to go for 3 players, actually. I think I'm going to go for Ian, actually. Scoring 2 goals again, and they were actually some top quality finishes, weren't they? And I think...
And actually, if you look at Leicester's kind of attacking threat before he scored the 2 goals, it was all coming through Iheanacho. He did actually play quite well. Just unfortunately for him, the rest of the team didn't. But yeah, so he got 2 goals, and he deserved them. Brilliant, took his goal brilliantly. First of all, and obviously got us back into it on the 91st minute, and of course it was 6 minutes added time, so we thought then it might have a chance.
Yeah, 100%. And finally, I have to go with Lacazette again. He's been a top professional going through the last few games, and I think he deserves being in the team of the week as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of those. I think one player that needs to be in terms of just this week's performance, Kai Havertz, needs to be mentioned in there as well. I think there's been a couple of standout performances, but his was one. Got a bit of flack and showed some of his quality against Crystal Palace. So I know that's quite a few players, but there was some top performances this week, wasn't there?
Yeah, 100%. Can't argue with that, Joe.
No. No, not at all. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. We're going to talk a little bit. We're not going to be as rushed this week because we've got a few minutes left. But we're just going to talk about the games coming up. So Friday night. So today, actually, God, this week's gone out on it today. It's 8:00. We've got Everton Tottenham. Big game.
Yeah, and it's going to be tight, but I can either see it being a draw or a Spurs win, but I'm going to go with Spurs win because I think Everton have just lost the momentum. I know Tottenham don't have a great amount of momentum, but I think they'll just edge it today.
Yeah, I think Tottenham have just got without the injuries and stuff, have just got a bit more talent. I can see it being 1 or 2-0 to Tottenham this one.
So are you going 1 or 2?
I'm going to go 1-0 Tottenham. Yeah.
1-0 Tottenham. Okay.
Are you writing these down?
Yeah, I'm writing them down, Harry.
Right, okay. So, and then we've got Newcastle, West Ham. Now, this one's going to be difficult because both, obviously, Newcastle have exhibited some form. This is tomorrow at 12:30. I can't see anything but a West Ham win. I could actually see it going the same pattern, though. I could see West Ham going 3-0 up and then dropping some goals.
Yeah. So you're going 3-2?
I'll go 3-2. Yeah, why not?
I thought the same way, but I went 3-1. I think West Ham will go 3-0 up and Newcastle will score.
Yeah. Okay, next game, Wolves, Sheffield United. Can't see anything else. I'm going 2-0 Wolves on this one. Can't see anything else but a win.
Yeah.
I think Sheffield United will lose every game for the rest of the season now. That's just...
You think so? That's
yeah, I do.
Now. I've gone 2-0 as well. I just can't see it going any other way either. I think the next game will be interesting though.
Yeah, definitely. Right, moving on to Arsenal Fulham. Now, this one's obviously London derby, but Arsenal have had a really good week. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1.
I think Arsenal will have too much for them, and they've had a tremendous week. Obviously, beating Sheffield United, nothing. But last night's performance, if any of you guys watched it, was, I mean, I know they were, say only against Sparta Prague. Sparta Prague had done well to get this far, but you know, it was a demolition performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you could tell they meant business after the Sparta Prague player being racist. I'm not going to say allegedly because he was racist.
No, he was.
You can't argue with it, and it's unacceptable. I think 10 is quite lenient. 10 match is lenient. I thought they should have been kicked out for it.
There needs to be more done, mate. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, you know, as much as we don't want this show dominated by political issues, I think racism in football at the moment is rife, and you know, I just don't think a 10-match ban. You know, they're talking about, you know, they want to wear T-shirts, they want players to kick racism out and stuff. But no, it's all right. You can be racist to somebody, you get a 10-match ban. It's just not on. It's no chance. I'm just not happy with it. Disgusted, in fact.
Kamara got a 3-match ban as well because he just reacted to it. Like,
yeah, well, of course you're going to react.
I know a lot of people who would reacted a lot worse than that.
And I got
And
to be
quite
honest.
rightly so.
Yeah, got to be honest with you, mate. I think they're sitting in a situation where something worse is going to happen eventually. You know, if you're a black player and you get racially abused, somebody's gonna want to hit somebody, and it's going to end up worse than that. So they need to do something about it now, not tomorrow, not next week. Now, they won't. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, 3-1 to Arsenal on that one.
Yeah,
Fun
I've
game.
gone 3-0 as Arsenal as well.
Okay.
I see Arsenal winning.
Yeah. Man U, Burnley, right? I can't see anything else but Man U win. I think it's gonna be quite a tight affair. I'm gonna go 2-1 Man U.
2-1 Man U. I've gone 2-0 Man U. I think it's gonna be quite comfortable for them.
Burnley of late have always got the capacity for a goal, so hence why I've gone for 2-1. Leeds, Liverpool. Oh,
This is a big game.
Obviously, the return fixture in the first game of the season was 4-3 Liverpool, so this could be anything, couldn't it?
Yeah. I'm going 2-2. I think it'll be a high-scoring draw.
I'm going to go 3-2 Liverpool.
That'll be a last-minute winner again.
Yeah.
And finally, Chelsea versus Brighton. What do you think?
Chelsea versus Brighton. I think we've got to go for. Got to go for a 2-0 Chelsea win.
Yeah, I've gone the same thing. I can't see it going anywhere. I know Brighton needs the points, but I can't see them.
Right. I know we might have overrun just slightly. We're on about 40-something minutes now, but we're just going to quickly go over what we think the semi-final results are going to be as well. Big games. Obviously, we've got Chelsea, Man City on the Saturday, and then Leicester, Southampton on the Sunday. Right, who do you think is going to win it first of all? In terms of overall in the competition, can't see anywhere past Man City.
No, I can't see anyone being but Man City. I mean, Chelsea's not going to be an easy task, but I can see them winning quite comfortably.
I think without meaning to be kind of disrespectful to either Leicester or Southampton fans, a lot of neutral fans will see this as the final. In terms of whoever wins this game will arguably be favourites going in. I mean, Leicester have had a great season, don't get me wrong, but I think there is that stigma with Leicester that they're kind of shooting above their pay grade a little bit. And of course, if Southampton get through, I think both those teams, those fans from those teams will see themselves as favourites. So a lot of neutral fans will see this as the final. I can't see anything past Man City winning against Chelsea. I'll go for a 2-0 Man City.
Yeah, I've gone 3-1. I think Phil Foden will score.
Oh yeah, I'll go for a 2-0 Man City. Right, moving on to the next game, Leicester v Southampton. What do we think? I mean, I'm very sceptical because we've had two poor results and not great performances.
I think Leicester will win it, but I think they've got too much of Southampton. Let's be real.
And Southampton
aren't any good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not playing great, are they? So, what are we going for, Will?
I've gone 2-0 Leicester.
I will also stick with that. I'll go 2-0 Leicester. I think you're right. I think Leicester have got too much. I think it will be a Man City Leicester final, and then it'll be a Man City win. But hey, if we get to the final, who knows? Anything can happen on the day, can't it?
Only time will tell, AJ.
Exactly. And just very quickly, right at the end, obviously some news broke just before we came on to do the podcast. AD Boothroyd's left his job, I think 7 years in charge of the under-21s team. What do you make of that?
I think it's only going right. I think the England under-21 side, they didn't qualify for the knockout stages. I think they've gone backwards, and the players are better than they were before. Like, we've got some unbelievable young talent coming through, and if you can't use that, I think it's just. I think it's quite right. He's gone.
I think obviously he's quite an old-headed manager. Obviously, for those of you that will know, he managed Watford, didn't he, up to the Premier League? I think in about
through the playoffs,
2006, 2007 season. I think they were in.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to know his kind of credentials, those are kind of it. And obviously he's managed at several different other clubs as well. and then he's had this post for, as we say, 7 years now. So it's sad to see him go, but I think, like you said, it was the right decision, and we need to be taking them forward because the under-21s scene, if you like, for England is actually more important than it ever has been, especially with the amount of young talent that we've got in the senior squad. So it's the right decision for me, and I think it's sad to see him go because you never want somebody to lose their job, but it'd be interesting to see who they get in now.
Yeah, I think you need someone who can bring the most out of the young players, and I think hopefully moving forward, we'll be performing a lot better for the England under-20 because it is an important age bracket just before breaking to the men's senior squad.
Of course, Gareth Southgate started off there, didn't he? So that's kind of you can make it up there and stuff, but we'll see what happens, and like I say, they just didn't perform well, did they, in the Euros because they've just had those. They just didn't again. But this is not just the first tournament, is it? There's been a couple of tournaments now where they've just not been at it.
100%.
And it doesn't matter what level of football you're playing at, international, under-21s level. If you don't get results, you're going to be up for the chop, aren't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah. Right, I think that's about covered all bases today. Will, anything to add for next week? Because obviously you'll be running the show next week.
Yeah, I'll be running, and of course we'll be joined by Peter Crouch again. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Peter Crouch. He unfortunately couldn't make it on this week, but he's promised us next week that he'll be on. Can't wait to speak to good boy Crouchy. It'd be nice to have him on, especially with his podcast. So yeah. he's got credentials. He asked if he could be on, didn't he? He asked us if he could be on, and we were like umming and ahhing, but we're lucky enough to get.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough, isn't it? And make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel right from the Kickoff Pod, and yeah, make sure you like the video as well.
Yeah,
and I'll see you next week.
Also, don't forget to comment your news and views because we will mention them on the show, on the podcast when we do filming each week. So make sure you comment. All right, cheers, guys.
See you later, guys. Have a good week.
See you later.